Hello everyone. In this fourth lecture on principles of inheritance, we are going to discuss about the gene interactions. Here we are going to discuss about two different types of gene interactions. In the first one, we'll see the interaction within a gene between the two different alleles, whereas in the other case, we'll see the interaction among different genes present in different loci. So before going into the details of the gene interactions, we'll just see what we understood in the earlier lectures, mainly based on the dihybrid cross. So in the dihybrid cross, we understood that the phenotypic ratio was 9:3:3:1, and the genotypic ratio consists of 9 different types of genotypes. And we have seen in this 4 are double heterozygotes, and totally 8 are single heterozygotes, and 4 are double homozygotes. Here, one important thing that we can see among these ratios is, see, if you see this first one, that is capital R, capital R, capital Y in this particular example. Otherwise, it is double homozygous dominant is 1, whereas this one is single heterozygous, and this one is again single heterozygous, and this one is double heterozygous. So all these 4 different types of genotypes will show only one type of phenotype, that is round yellow only. So you can calculate that here 4 plus 2, 6 plus 2, 8 plus 1. So totally 9 different genotypes are there which are actually showing this particular phenotype. Therefore 9 round yellow you can find in this. The same way, this one is a double homozygous, in which one is with respect to the dominant one and the other one is with respect to the recessive one. Here this one is single heterozygous with respect to dominant gene. Again, this one is round green, this one is also round green only. So totally 2 plus 1, 3 are actually round green, that you can see here. Whereas coming to this one is wrinkled yellow, this one is also wrinkled yellow, so totally 3 are wrinkled yellow. That's what you can see in the phenotypic ratio. And the last one is wrinkled green, only 1, and that is this. Which means in this 9 phenotypes, 9 round yellow in the phenotypic ratio, there are 4 different types of genotypes. 1, 2, 3, 4. The same way in this, there are 2 different types of genotypes. In this, 2 different types, whereas this one is only 1 genotype only. So this is how we can see the genotypes and phenotypes in the dihybrid cross. Now, here you can observe 2 important things with respect to this particular ratio, that is 9:3:3:1. And those observations are, first one is with respect to the assortment, that is segregation of genes, there is independent assortment. That's what we have seen under the law of independent assortment, where one allelic pair, say for example capital R, small r, its segregation is independent of the other allelic pairs like capital Y, small y in this case. That's what law of independent assortment is. The reason for this 9:3:3:1 is this independent assortment only. Now another important independence that you can see here is independence with respect to the phenotypic expression, which means here capital R, small r, that is one allelic pair. This one is determining a specific character. The same way capital Y, small y, it is one allelic pair and it is determining another character. Here there is independent phenotypic expression. That's the reason why round or wrinkled with respect to the first 2 alleles and yellow or green with respect to the second 2 alleles. So this is for only the seed shape, whereas the second allelic pair is only for the seed color. So the phenotypic expression is different. So there is independence with respect to the phenotypic expression also. This is what you can observe in this particular ratio. So there is independent assortment as well as independent phenotypic expression. Now, the total gene interactions can be classified into two different categories. So first we'll try to understand what exactly this classification is. This is what we have seen just now. When there is independent phenotypic expression, I'm not talking about the segregation here, we are talking about expression. When you just consider capital A small a is one allelic pair, capital B small b is another allelic pair. This one is responsible for one phenotype, this one is responsible for another phenotype. So there is independence with respect to the genotypic expression. In the case of multiple allelism also, if you just ignore this, here there are three different alleles A1, A2, A3, but all these three are responsible for the same phenotype only. So whether it is multiple allelism or only two alleles, the common thing is there is independence with respect to the phenotypic expression for a particular gene. This is what we can understand from this. But here sometimes what happens is the alleles present in a different loci. See, this is capital A small a present at a particular locus on one particular homologous chromosome pair, and this one is another allelic pair present on another homologous chromosome pair. But what you can see here is both are responsible for the same phenotype only. This is what the gene interaction that we are going to discuss in detail. But before going into that, we will see how these gene interactions are actually classified. This particular type, which we have seen so far in the case of dominance, which we have discussed in monohybrid and dihybrid crosses, this one comes under intragenic gene interaction or allelic gene interaction, because the interaction is between only two alleles. That is dominant, one is dominant means the other one will be recessive, or maybe incomplete dominance or codominance, whichever it is. The common thing is there is only intragenic, that is within the gene only there is interaction, or allelic interaction only. But this one is intergenic, that is between two different genes. This is one gene, this is one gene, and between these two there is interaction. This is what intergenic interaction is. And this one is also called non-allelic interaction, because this is one allelic pair, this is another allelic pair. These two are not alleles. This is what non-allelic interaction is. Intragenic interaction or allelic interactions are further classified. First one that we are going to see is a dominant relationship, after which we will see the multiple alleles and lethal genes. Actually, we have already discussed about the multiple allelism with respect to the blood groups, and we have seen the multiple allelism in plant with respect to the self-sterility also. And here we will discuss about dominant relationship, which is of different types. So basically the dominant relationship is of four different types that we are going to discuss here: the complete dominance, incomplete dominance, codominance, and overdominance. In the case of stem length in garden pea, what we have seen was capital T responsible for the tallness and small t responsible for the dwarfness. Those two are actually having a specific relationship in which capital T is dominant over small t. So this is what we have seen, capital T is dominant over small t. This is the complete dominance means. But sometimes the dominance can be incomplete. This is what we are going to discuss in this lecture in detail. And the relationship can be codominance also, or maybe overdominance. So these are the important things that we are going to see in this lecture particularly. Now coming to these intergenic interactions, it can be epistatic or non-epistatic interaction, or maybe additive or polygenic interactions. This we are going to discuss in the next lecture. And lethal alleles can be of dominant, recessive, conditional, sex-linked, balanced. These are all the different types of lethal alleles, that is genes responsible for the death of the organism. Okay, when it comes to the intragenic interactions or allelic interactions, just now we have seen this is one allelic pair, this is another allelic pair, and each one is responsible for a different phenotype. This is what allelic interaction is about. And in the multiple allelism we have seen, that is in the multiple alleles we have seen more than two alternative forms of gene are present in the same locus. As in the case of blood groups IA, IB and IO. So I have three different types of alleles in this case, but all these three alleles are present on the same locus and they are responsible for one single phenotype only. This is what multiple allelism is. And dominant relationship is of different types. So the first one that we are going to discuss is the incomplete dominance. When Carl Correns in 1905 performing this monohybrid experiment, monohybrid cross in the plant Mirabilis jalapa, or the common name of which is 4 o'clock plant, he observed a different kind of gene expression. In case of garden bee, when violet colored plant is crossed with, that is pure breeding violet colored plant is crossed with pure breeding white colored plant, the plant in the F1 generation consisted only violet flowers because violet is dominant over white. But in this case, when he was performing a similar kind of experiment, when he crossed red flowered plant with the white flowered plant, in the F1 generation, there were no white flowers or red flowers. Instead, the flowers were actually only pink color only. So this phenotype is actually intermediate type. It is not completely red or it is not completely white. So here we cannot use the word dominance because red is not dominant over the white here. Instead, it is actually incompletely dominant over the white. So when he performed this self-hybridization among this, again in the F2 generation, he found red, pink and white plants in 1:2:1 ratio. So his observation was the heterozygous plants. So as we know, in F1 plants, all the plants will be only heterozygous only, and we know these two are actually heterozygous. So all the heterozygous plants are actually showing an intermediate character instead of any particular character used in the parent generation. So one thing that we have to understand here is, in the case of incomplete dominance, the genotypic ratio is 1:2:1 and phenotypic ratio is also 1:2:1 only. So here when we were discussing about the monohybrid cross with only the dominant relationship, we have seen that the homozygous plant is of two different types. One is homozygous dominant, the other one is homozygous recessive, and this one is heterozygous one. Both homozygous dominant and heterozygotes are actually giving the same phenotypic expression because one particular allele is dominant over the other one. Because of this, the phenotypic ratio was 3:1. But here, as this particular genotype is actually giving a different kind of phenotype because of its intermediate expression, the genotypic and phenotypic ratios here will be 1:2:1 only. This is what actually the incomplete dominance is. And it is also found in the Antirrhinum majus, the common name of which is dog flower or snapdragon. While discussing multiple alleles, we have seen there are three different alleles responsible for the ABO blood grouping: IA, IB and small io. So here capital I is used for IA and IB, whereas we have seen only small I is used for O. This is because capital I is dominant over the small I. So that relationship you can see here, capital IA and capital IB or simply IA, IB are co-dominant. This is how the genotype will be: IA, IB. When the person consists of both alleles, that is IA, IB, the blood group of the person is actually AB, because both are co-dominant, equally dominant. But these two are dominant over IO. So codominance can be seen in the ABO blood grouping between IA and IB. In the case of sickle cell anemia, there are two different alleles responsible for the hemoglobin production. HbA, which actually produce the normal hemoglobin, whereas HbS will produce abnormal hemoglobin. When HbA is a genotype, the person is able to produce normal hemoglobin. But when he is heterozygous for this, HbA is able to produce normal hemoglobin, whereas HbS is able to produce abnormal hemoglobin, which means both alleles are expressed. What the phenotype of the person is going to be a different thing, which we are going to discuss under genetic disorders, but basically both the genes are expressed. Therefore, hemoglobin, which is of normal type, and abnormal hemoglobin, both the hemoglobins are produced. And when the person is HbS, then only the abnormal hemoglobin is produced. So here, these two alleles are actually codominants with respect to the hemoglobin production. And the plant Camellia, we can observe this codominance. Here, when red colored flowered plant is crossed with white flowered plant, in the F1 generation, you can see the difference. No red flowers, not white flowers, not the pink flowers. Instead, you can see the patches of red and white in this flower, which means this and this, that is, both these alleles are actually expressed, that is, they are codominant. Therefore, both the red and white colors are produced in this particular generation. So this is what the codominance is. And again, in the F2 generation, when self-hybridation is performed, as we know, the heterozygous plants will show the codominance, that is two different colors. Therefore, again in this case also, the phenotypic and genotypic ratios will be 1:2:1 only. Codominance can also be seen in the Gossypium plant. There are two different species that are shown here. This is one species, Gossypium hirsutum. In this Gossypium hirsutum, this is the banding pattern upon electrophoresis. This is actually the gel used in the electrophoresis. So electrophoresis is performed by using the proteins isolated from the seed. So this is how the banding pattern is. And when Gossypium stewartianum is used, in this is how the banding pattern is. Again, the proteins are same from the seed only. So you can find the difference in the banding pattern between these two different species. When these two are crossed, the F1 hybrid proteins are isolated, and again the electrophoresis is performed. What observed here is the banding pattern of this thing is having both Gossypium hirsutum and Gossypium stewartianum banding patterns, which means the proteins of this and these are expressed. That's why the banding pattern is like this, which means again here it is codominant only. Sometimes when you have three different types of genotypes, that is capital A type, capital A, small a type, and small a type, the heterozygous has higher fitness related to the counterpart homozygotes. This is the heterozygous one, and these are the homozygous genotypes. This one is having some fitness, some kind of advantage over the homozygotes. This is what higher fitness related to the counterparts of the counterpart homozygotes means, which means the heterozygous plant, heterozygous organism, if it is animal, is having some kind of advantage. This is called heterosis. This can be seen in the case of sickle cell anemia, for example. Just now we have seen three different types of genotypes with respect to sickle cell anemia. That is HbA, HbS, and HbS. There, The HBS is HBS individual. When the person is heterozygous with respect to these alleles, he'll be having resistance against the malaria. In African population, you can see many people with heterozygous condition with respect to sickle cell anemia. This is because they have resistance against malaria, which means the heterozygous is having some kind of fitness over the counterpart homozygotes, that is HBA and HBS. This is what over dominance means. And when it comes to the relationship between the two different alleles, so far we are using the words dominance, codominance, incomplete dominance, over dominance. So wherever we are using such kind of words, we are saying or we are mentioning the relationship between two different alleles. Here I mentioned the relationship between these two alleles. It can be dominant or maybe codominant or maybe incompletely dominant or maybe over dominance. But what exactly the dominance means? So if you try to understand that, in the case of pea plant, when allele capital B is present, then starch synthesis will be efficient. Whereas when small b is present, the starch synthesis will be less efficient. So here capital B small b will determine how much efficiently the starch synthesis will be. Now when you apply this thing to a particular phenotype, when the genotype is capital B, then the grain size is large because there is efficient synthesis of starch. But when it is heterozygous, capital B is able to produce efficient starch, that is this particular allele, but this one is not able to produce sufficient amounts of starch. Therefore, the size of the grain is actually medium sized. And in the third case, that is homozygous condition with respect to small b here, as there is less amount of starch synthesis from these two alleles, the grain size will be small. Now, with respect to the seed shape, because the starch is synthesized efficiently from capital B, in this case as well as in this case also, the seed shape will be round, which means one copy of capital B is sufficient for the seed to be round. But when it is small b, the seed will be wrinkled. Now, with respect to the first one, that is seed shape, what is the relationship between capital B, small b? Here capital B is responsible for efficient starch synthesis, small b is responsible for less efficient starch synthesis. But when I consider seed shape as the phenotype, what is the relationship between these two alleles? Means I can say capital B is dominant over small b because this is heterozygous. Here capital B or the only one particular phenotype is expressed. So with respect to this particular phenotype, capital B is dominant over small b. So there is dominance relationship in this case. But when it comes to the first case, that is starch grain size, homozygotes are having two different phenotypes, but the heterozygous is having the intermediate character between these two, that is large, small, and this one is medium, like red, white, the intermediate color is pink. So I cannot tell that capital B is dominant over the small b in this case because there is incomplete dominance with respect to this particular phenotype. So alleles are same, but with respect to the phenotype 2, that is seed shape, it is dominance, whereas with respect to the first phenotype, that is starch grain size, it is actually incomplete dominance. So the conclusion is dominance is not the autonomous feature of gene or the product that it has information for. That is simply based on the gene. By seeing the gene, you cannot tell that this one is dominant over the other, or this is co-dominant or intermediate dominance, or even it is not simply based on the product that it generates also you cannot tell the dominance. So it actually depends on what phenotype that exactly you are considering in a particular case. So it may change depending on the phenotype. So this is what about some deviations from the Mendel's laws which he has proposed based on the monohybrid and dihybrid process. So in the next lecture we will discuss about the gene interactions, the genes which are present in different laws, that is intergenic interactions, we will discuss in detail. Thank you very much.